In the morning, the ANC in the province says it was not invited. 44 people were killed in 2012 when loanmen employees embarked on a wildcat strike demanding a 12,500 rand monthly wage hike. Most of the dead were mine workers, and this year's commemoration is unique in that it comes a few months after the Marikana Commission of Inquiry released its findings, and the findings are currently a point of debate in many circles, particularly in Parliament, and they are expected to take the center stage during the commemoration tomorrow. Now, SABC News will be broadcasting live from Marikana tomorrow, bringing you all the latest on the third-year anniversary celebrations. And now to talk us further on this and also give us some analysis on the latest developments on the civil claims, we're now joined right here in the studio by our reporter, Nozintombi Mia. Nozintombi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, what can we expect of the celebrations in Marikana tomorrow?
Well, you've given quite a comprehensive introduction, but we do know that the main players on the Marikana commemorative events will be the people who will be coming through to Marikana tomorrow. We do know that it will be the UDM, the EFF, and the DA that will be some of the key political parties that will be gracing the stage at Marikana. We do know that a lot of the injured miners, they number close to 200 injured miners, will be attending the events, as well as the widows of the 34 men that were killed on the 16th, as well as the 3 other men that were killed on the 13th. They also will be attending, and obviously a large number of the community members that are living in the Inkaneng settlement in Marikana, as well as some civil organizations. What is curious, though, is the fact that we don't see representatives from lawmen. We don't see any representatives from the ruling party. We don't see. It's a very interesting question, and it takes us back to the first and the second commemorative events, where there seemed to have been a miscommunication of sorts, or it seems as though people are standing in their various corners and they're not really speaking to each other. To give an example, lawmen had a prayer service on Friday. And they felt that was their way of commemorating the events on Friday. And they refused to be part of what was happening or what will be happening on the 16th. So it's issues around that. And then you also hear on Thursday where the EFF is saying they're not going to be inviting people. Specifically, it's an open invitation to people. So it seems as though it's miscommunication or a lack of different political parties speaking to each other in a language that moves us forward.
And the famous man in the green blanket, so much has been written and said about him. I'm talking of Mcineni Mambush Noki, and his death really symbolized the whole struggle in Marikana. We understand there will be events that will be held around him. Can you just elaborate on that?
Definitely. There'll be quite a number of countrywide events that will be taking place. And you'll remember for Mambush Noki, he really was the symbol, the hero for many of these miners. Just like Hector Peterson was the symbol of the student uprising in 1976, Noki, also known as Mambush, was the hero for the miners who wanted to get a living wage from lawmen. And all of these events that will be happening, there'll be over 50 events that are happening countrywide tomorrow. And they will be using the auspices of the man in the green blanket to say, we remember those that fell on the 16th of August 2012.
And just yesterday, we saw at the High Court in Pretoria the claims for compensation there. What is just happening around that issue, particularly at this point in time? Obriel,
it's exciting times. I mean, this week has been such a jam-packed week in terms of the issue of the civil claims being filed. We know on Tuesday that SERI, the Socio-Economic Rights Institute, that represents the widows of all 37 men that were killed on the 13th and the 16th, filed their civil claims on Tuesday. And we know that lawyers for the injured and arrested miners filed their civil cases on Wednesday Wednesday and on Friday. They filed 30 on Wednesday, and they filed 279 claims on Friday. And this goes into billions of money that they're asking presidency. They're asking the police ministry. They're asking the Ministry of Minerals. They're asking the NPA. They're saying, we are holding you accountable and we want you to pay over billions in compensation. Because what was quite interesting is that in the Marikana report, in the final outcomes of the report, there was never really anything that was said about compensation. And you remember since 2012, what the families have been saying, what the injured miners have been saying is that give us financial compensation, give us monetary compensation so that we can rebuild our lives because it's breadwinners that were taken. And what was interesting that Seri had said as part of their civil claims is that of the 37 men that they represent, their beneficiaries are over 300. Now that's parents, that's wives, that's children. It really brings it home to a very large extent that we count it as a number. We say 37 men died, but we never look at it from the perspective of the families. That it's the mothers, it's the fathers, it's the wives, it's the children that depended on this miner's meager salary of less than 9,000 rands after tax. It's even less, but with close to 5,000 rands, one miner, one of the 37 miners, was supporting at least 10 people in his family.
And just very quickly, Nozintombi, before we let you go, you have been covering this story 3 years in a row now. You will be in Marikana tomorrow, and hopefully we'll chat to you again tomorrow. But what has been your experience covering this story from the beginning? It
certainly has been such a long road covering the Marikana story. It's tugged at my heartstrings. I've made really amazing contacts. I've met some really strong and interesting people. But for me, the biggest story that I can tell is a story around the resilience of the human spirit. Despite something so tragic and horrific happening in somebody's life, the ability to build themselves up, to be resilient in the face of such heartache and trauma, that is a lesson that will never, ever move away from my mind. And I think these are the type of stories that are critical for us as media people to cover the stories of the level of resilience of the human spirit.
Well, we have to end it there, but thanks so much for your time. That was our reporter there, Nozintombi Mia.